Wade,
Creed.
and this is Slightly Mediocre, where we kind of
set something and then drop it.
Yeah, that was a last season thing, and of course, we're not narcissistic or anything, and watch our own videos, so we don't know what we were saying last season.
We don't even know what we had for breakfast. So
no.
Anyway, so today we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. We're going to be talking about, I guess, the whole franchise, the future of the franchise, some of the actors and actresses in it, and just, the whole thing in general. And to start us off, what was your introduction to Pirates of the Caribbean, Wade?
So Pirates of the Caribbean was actually something that I was introduced to via the Disney World ride.
Oh.
My dad, he actually would go to a conference at Disney World pretty much every year when I was pretty young. So we would all just, go with them. It was a lot of fun because, we got to chill on the rides and, do whatever. And, my mom was sitting there and all that fun stuff. And then, my dad was working. So it made an even thing. But the ride, if I remember correctly, was a water ride, very similar to like a Small World.
Okay.
There was a little bit of like a log flume type thing going when you like first hit it, but then you're just like on this track in a boat and you're just kind of like, cruising around. It's definitely cool, but that was my introduction. It wasn't until I was a little older that I was watching the movies. Granted, I'm pretty sure the movies came out after that period of my time, like, because
the ride was old, man.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I was like 7 when I was like 7. It would have been like 5, or 6, 7, and 8 when I went down to Disney World, because we went 3 years in a row.
Gotcha.
And then I'm pretty sure shortly after that, or like in the middle somewhere, the first movie came out, The Black Pearl. So, but the movies I thought were awesome. I know the most recent one came out in like 2015, so it's been a few years. But I like great movies, The Marathon, lots of nice banter. That's kind of where the whole, like in my opinion, that's kind of where the whole like smart-assy type, like back and forth kind of happened.
Yeah.
Because you didn't really see that in a lot of movies beforehand, that weren't like comedies to begin with. And this is a very serious like action adventure movie, but there's still some little comedic relief every now and then with, of course, Jack Sparrow, and him like, I got a job, did. So, it was a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, for me, I saw one of the films. I think it was the third one. I kind of saw them out of order, but I saw it at a drive-in theater, which is pretty neat. They don't have those a lot anymore. Just up in Pennsylvania where I used to live. And we went to the drive-in theater and we saw it, and I really enjoyed the film. And then we bought the DVDs back then, and we saw all the rest of them. And I've seen them ever since, like every single one when it comes out in the theaters. And I've enjoyed all the films. And like you said, the banter is really, really what makes it, really interesting too. Because they got that great storylines, they got the action, they got the whole swashbuckler thing. But Johnny Depp really brings the character to life. I was told that he actually goes into the role. So like when he like the first day on set to like the last day, he is Captain Jack Sparrow. Like the persona of Johnny Depp disappears and becomes that role.
And you see that a lot with like at least big name actors that I've noticed, because recently I watched a documentary on Jim Carrey.
Okay.
And they were saying that he becomes a completely different person when he's on set. Like he will go into the character even when he's like not on screen or taking a take or something like that. Like if he's going to be an asshole in the movie, he is going to be an asshole throughout the entire day. Which is, it's really interesting to see that, the actors get so involved with that character.
Oh yeah.
But I guess, we see it on screen, it's great, so it pays off. Johnny Depp, he's definitely someone who does that as well. He'll get really into the character and basically embody, what the screenwriters and the writers and everything have, portrayed in their writing. So he'll just take it one step further and bring it to life.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, it looks like Disney will not be bringing Jack Sparrow back into the Pirates franchise. I know recently they released an article saying that they're not going to be bringing him back for the reboot that Disney's thinking about for the Pirates of the Caribbean. Which is really unfortunate because him as Jack Sparrow was definitely one of the reasons why a lot of people were watching it because it was funny, it was entertaining to watch. But I know with some of Johnny Depp's personal life kind of getting a lot of flack, and the reception to Johnny Depp being in the Harry Potter, the Fantastic Beasts series, he was getting a lot of flack due to his personal life. For that, so I don't think Disney wants to take a risk on it.
Yeah, Disney's been pretty cautious lately with actors, directors even. So, they're doing what they think is best for business. But, like Johnny Depp is kind of like, Robert Downey Jr. Like Robert Downey Jr., he basically is Tony Stark, Iron Man,
Yeah.
Like he, when he like goes does charity work for like kids, visits them in the hospital, he goes in his persona and he lives it out. And same thing with Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp does that a lot. He goes to like hospitals, events where like there's kids that are ill. He goes in full costume as Captain Jack Sparrow, and he brings a smile to her face when they really need it the most. So I think that's commendable on his part. But for the films themselves, just starting off, the first film is kind of like the introduction. Curse of the Black Pearl kind of shows the backstory of a little bit, I guess a little bit of the backstory of Captain Jack Sparrow, his ship, his crew, etc. The second film and the third film mainly deal with his past with what's his name again?
Davy Jones.
Yeah, Davy Jones, and it's the pact that he made with Davy Jones. Fourth film, is set years later. Or a few years later at least, and he's talking about his interaction with Blackbeard.
Yeah,
which is kind of like, it was a little bit of a breath of fresh air, I guess. I don't know.
It was, but at the same time, the critics didn't really like it all that much because they felt that it was really only an excuse to get Penelope Cruz in a pirate lady outfit. Which, I mean,
no one's complaining about that.
No one's really complaining about that.
But she's a great actress too.
Yeah, but it was definitely interesting to see like a different take on everything. And then, of course, the most recent one that came back in 2015, so about 3 years ago, would be Dead Men Tell No Tales. And that one, if I remember correctly, was really good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It had, I forget the actor's name, the guy that played Captain Salazar. He was in one of the Bond films, too. I think he was in Skyfall. He played the villain in that. I forget the actor's name, but he plays a really good villain. So he was a good, foil to Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp. And of course, they brought back, Barbossa, his character. They showed that character's backstory as well, and kind of tied things in really well. I think it kind of brought a little bit of some closure to some parts of the film, like Will Turner. They brought him back for a little bit to explain what he's been doing. So Orlando Bloom got a little bit of a cameo. But yeah, no, if you're not a fan of Orlando Bloom.
No, I'm fine with Orlando Bloom, but him and Keira Knightley in those movies are just terrible. I can't stand their for anyone that watches these videos, we know that I don't really like the whole love interest BS that goes on in the background of the actual film. However, with Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley in the entire Pirates series, it's just disgusting.
Weird back and forth.
It's stupid, disgusting, actually.
Wow.
Not to mention Keira Knightley. So there's this one scene in At World's End, the third one, where they're all on their own specific ships, right?
Okay.
Keira Knightley took over that Chinese pirates one. Yeah. So she's the captain of that ship.
Okay.
They're all coming in and converging on the Royal Navy, right? They're all
the East India Company.
Yeah, the East India Company, right? So what was it? The East India Company?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so they're all coming in. They got these two huge, really nice ships that have obviously been made in London, right? And they're not like janky and junky and gross looking like the pirate ship, right? So you have all these pirate ships coming. They're about to go to war. And, they're like on the count of three, yell fire, right? So they're sitting there, 1, 2, 3, fire. Okay, it goes to each captain saying fire, right? And then it goes to Keira Knightley and she's like, fire! I'm like, You couldn't have redone that take and just said fire? Like,
and her ship didn't even fire.
I mean, it did, but it's just like the
Yeah.
fact that it seems like Keira Knightley can't say the word fire. I don't think she can.
No, she can hide a lot of weapons on her. I like that one scene. That's pretty funny.
But yeah, no, like, you know, that's the like that's the thing that annoys me the most. And it was probably one take because, you know, they only had so many ships that they could blow up, right? But, you know, it's just like, really, you know, you couldn't really, like, I know she has an accent, but I'm going to tell you right now, a British accent does not cause you to say fire as fira.
That's a fail in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. That kind of bugged me too. I just remember that scene. Yeah. You know, like I don't know, like the movies were great. I really had not that many, I guess, points to say that really bothered me. There were some slow points, you know, as usual with every film. There's always some slow points, but for the most part, the fast-paced action and you know Johnny Depp's quick wit and his banter really helped speed it up. So it wasn't as bad as some other films that have slow lovey-dovey points. I will say though, like Keira Knightley's character, you said she was going back and forth with Will Turner. Well, she's doing a little bit back and forth with Jack Sparrow too. So she was kind of, going around. She was going around, making waves, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. No pun intended, right? Making
pun
waves.
intended, making waves.
No, there was definitely some scenes where it's like okay, Keira, just pick one, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're thinking, okay, is she doing this because she wants to, or is she doing this for survival purposes?
To distract Jack.
And I feel like a lot of it was survival purposes, especially when it came to Jack, because obviously she was into Will Turner since they were on the same island. She made her dad he made her dad a sword. Like they'd have interactions before. He was known as the blacksmith of the town.
Yeah.
So it's taken it way back. To like the first opening scene.
Oh yeah.
But it was really good, and the choreography for all the sword fights and everything was amazing. The soundtrack is also great, amazing. Yeah. There's been so many memes and parodies of those movies. If I remember correctly, Lonely Island and Michael Bolton did a song about Jack Sparrow. So it's definitely part of pop culture for sure. And it's really entertaining to see that something that started out as a ride
became like 5 films.
Yeah.
And all the merch that comes out with it, all the kids that dress up as Jack Sparrow for Halloween.
And probably more than 5 films, honestly, because, like we said, it does seem that Disney wants to reboot it because, Disney any production company these days seem to only want to do reboots and not anything original. But the Disney wanting to reboot it is definitely going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I think they did mention though they want to bring some sort of closure with Jack Sparrow's character.
I mean, they have to.
Yeah, so
that's the only reason people watch those movies now.
I agree. Yeah, like the revenue brought in with these films. I believe they're some of them are like within the top 10 most earning films of all time. So like they've earned a lot of revenue.
They bring in huge numbers. Yeah. Like absolute huge numbers. So.
Which is really impressive, like you said, coming from a film that was based on a ride.
Yeah.
So if you can do that from a ride, you never know what ride's going to come next.
Well, because originally the ride was based on Treasure Island.
Okay.
I believe. I think that's why but it was just like Disney's version, and then they kind of veered a little further off the beaten trail and did their own thing.
Yep. So yeah, let us know what you think. What y'all's opinions on Johnny Depp, the films, films as a whole. Which one's your favorite? Which ones you didn't like at all? If you liked the way Keira Knightley pronounced fire.
And if you haven't seen that scene, please watch
At World's End.
YouTube.
Yeah, it's probably on YouTube somewhere.
You need to, because it'll make you as
cringe,
irritated as we are.
Yeah, it definitely was a cringy moment. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Just slightly mediocre. I'm Creed.
I'm Wade.
And see y'all next time.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.